Someone asks you for a favor. You don't want to do it. Your mouth says yes anyway. You feel it happen. A small tightness in your chest, a flicker of resistance, and then the word slips out before you can stop it. Yes, sure, no problem. But the real answer is far stranger than simple politeness. Your ancestors are the reason you can't say no. Think about the last time this happened to you. Someone asked for your time, your energy, your money, your weekend. You didn't want to give it, but something in you calculated the cost of refusing and decided saying yes was safer. That calculation didn't come from your upbringing. It came from a place much older than manners. For most of human history, saying no could get you killed, not metaphorically, literally. Your ancestors lived in small bands, usually no more than 150 people. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brain size and social group size and found a consistent pattern. The bigger the social group, the bigger the brain required to track relationships within it. Humans landed at roughly 150 stable relationships. That's the world your brain was built for. Not millions of strangers online. 150 people you would see again tomorrow and the day after, and for the rest of your life. In a group that small, reputation was survival. If you refused to share meat after a hunt, people remembered. If you turned down a request for help, people remembered. And in an environment with no police, no courts, no anonymous cities to disappear into, being remembered as selfish was a death sentence. Your ancestors couldn't just move to a new tribe. There was nowhere else to go. So saying yes wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Every time you agreed to something you didn't want to do, your ancestors were making a calculated trade, a small personal cost now in exchange for continued belonging. And belonging meant protection, food sharing, mates, safety in numbers. A single human alone on the savannah didn't survive long. A human embedded in a cooperative group did. This is where it gets interesting. Psychologist Robert Cialdini spent decades studying what makes people comply with requests they'd rather refuse. In his research on persuasion, he identified something called the reciprocity principle. Humans feel an almost involuntary pressure to return favors, and by extension, to avoid the discomfort of appearing ungrateful or unhelpful. Yeah. Cialdini found that even a small, unsolicited gift could make people far more likely to comply with a later request. Your brain isn't weighing pros and cons in that moment. It's running old software written for tribal survival, now running in a world of coworkers, group chats, and strangers on the internet. Here's the part that should feel uncomfortable. Your brain cannot always tell the difference between a modern social cost and an ancient physical one. When you imagine disappointing someone, your brain doesn't file that under mild social awkwardness. It often responds as if something is actually at stake. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now famous study using an fMRI scanner and a simple ball tossing game. Participants believed they were playing with other real people online. When the other players suddenly stopped throwing the ball to them, excluding them from the game, the brain scans showed something remarkable. The same regions that activate during physical pain lit up during social rejection. Your brain treats exclusion like an injury. So when you feel that flicker of dread before saying no, that's not irrational. That's ancient math running in real time. Your brain is asking, life, if I refuse, will I be cast out? Of course you won't be, not really. Modern life doesn't work like a small tribe on the savannah. You can say no to a coworker and still have dinner. You can decline a friend's request and still be loved tomorrow. But try telling that to a nervous system that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years and has only had a few generations to adjust to smartphones and city blocks. There's another layer to this. Solomon Asch, a psychologist working in the 1950s, ran a series of experiments that still get cited today. He put a single participant into a room with several actors and asked the group simple questions like comparing the length of lines on a card. The actors would confidently give an obviously wrong answer, and a striking number of real participants, seeing everyone else agree, gave the wrong answer too. And not because they couldn't see the truth, because disagreeing with the group felt more costly than being wrong. Ash's participants weren't stupid, they were human. Agreeing with the group, even against clear evidence, felt safer than standing apart from it. Saying yes, even when your gut says no, follows the exact same wiring. Now, think about your own life. How many times have you agreed to a project you didn't have time for? How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't? How many times have you nodded along in a meeting, holding an objection you never voiced? Each of those moments feels small on its own, but they're all the same ancient instinct. Wearing modern clothes, protect the bond, avoid the exile, stay inside the circle. Here's the twist most people never consider. This instinct, so useful for survival, can quietly work against you now. In a tribe of 150 people, saying yes cost you an afternoon of labor or a portion of your food. The trade made sense. But in a modern world of infinite requests, infinite obligations, infinite people who will never see your resources threatened, saying yes to everything costs you something far larger. Your time, your energy, your own priorities. Slowly traded away, one small agreement at a time. Your ancestors were optimizing for a world with real scarcity and real consequences. You are running that same program in a world with digital calendars and unlimited notifications. No wonder it feels so hard to keep up. So, what do you do with that? Understanding where the instinct comes from doesn't erase it, but it does something almost as powerful. It gives you a half second of awareness in the moment the yes wants to slip out. Well, that half second is new. Your ancestors didn't have it. They didn't need it because their yes usually kept them alive. Yours doesn't have to. The next time you feel that automatic yes rising in your throat, notice it. Not to force a no, just to see the machinery for what it is. An old, deeply human fear of being cast out, reacting to a situation that almost never actually threatens your place in the group. You are not in a tribe of 150 anymore, entirely dependent on the goodwill of a handful of people for your survival. You have room to disappoint someone and still be safe. That doesn't mean you should say no to everything. Cooperation still matters. Community still matters. Some yeses are exactly right, but the goal isn't to eliminate the instinct. It's to notice when it's speaking for your genuine values and when it's just an old alarm going off in a world that no longer requires it. Someone will ask you for a favor again soon. You may not want to do it. And this time when when your mouth opens, you might catch it. Not because you've become a different person, but because you finally understand exactly which ancestor is speaking and exactly what they were so afraid of.